anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. For a man who might be described as not particularly into religion, these religious words and the message they bring to each subsequent generation since they were first authored, no doubt, must have been one aspect of the guiding force behind Phil's life and life's work. Because he knew how many of us walk through the valley of the shadow of death, and we need as much support as we can possibly get. And he gave it. Heart and soul, he gave it. And his cup runneth over. But every one of his clients, every one of his patients, every one who came into his life looking for his guidance, his advice, his counsel, his help, his discernment. How fortunate they, as are we all, in having learned and loved from this unique individual, truly unique and wondrous in so many professional and so many crazy ways. But in truth, it's not so much my words that are important today. It's your words, your stories, the vignettes that you shared, that you offered, that you remember, that informed your relationship as his wife, as his children and grandchildren, as colleagues and friends, comrades, devoting your lives to make the lives of other human beings tolerable, and certainly way better than they ever thought possible. So it is with great privilege that I first call upon us, dear friend Jeff.
Phil was a valued colleague and a good friend. His presence will be missed. I have thought a lot about our friendship, especially over the past few years, as he struggled with medical issues and the pains that go with them. His perseverance and push to recover, to maintain his practice, and to continue to see friends were striking. I've known Phil for many years. We've worked together on cases, driven to NJPA meetings, and talked about all kinds of things. He strongly encouraged me to become active in NJPA, that's the New Jersey Psych Association, as well as in the South Jersey Psych Association. He, Elaine, and I went to the orchestra and to shows at the Arden. He would talk about the music and about things I didn't know. We had really great seats, and the concerts and evenings were terrific. And then there was food. He would suggest restaurants I had never heard of, got me to eat foods I hadn't tried, and knew about many cultures and esoteric things that I didn't know before. I do set a limit on spicy, but even so, it was always delicious, novel, and fun. Even as his eating habits shifted in the past few years, his love of food remained. His engaging waitresses and waiters in conversations, joking in his own inimitable way, and his interest in learning were sometimes astounding. We talked about how things have changed in our field, about our lives, and about what mattered to us. We were certainly very different and did not always agree, but we could do that and still be okay. I contacted the listserv of the South Jersey Psych Association about Phil's death. Comments and responses from many of our members talked about him as a mentor, a supervisor, and a colleague. He will be missed by many people in many ways. He will certainly be missed by me.
Each one of his sons, Michael, Aaron, and Josh, wish to speak. And as they speak, look at their faces. Listen to their words. The three of you look so different, and yet it's remarkable how each one of you reflects the visual of your father. Mom, too. But God willing, you'll continue to look at her for a long time to come. But for the three of you, perhaps when you look in the mirror, you'll see it. Michael, we welcome you first, Aaron, and then you, Josh.
I do have something prepared here. I'm going to read it. I usually read when I speak, but I figured I couldn't get the tears are going to come, so better. Anyway, you just mentioned that my dad was a guy who liked to eat. This is not written down here, but my brothers and I talked that he was like a guy on death row, but he had 100 last meals. Mickey, my wife here, and I were back a couple weeks ago, and we were able to spend a lot of time with him. And it was incredible that, I'm not exaggerating, he sent us up every day for something else. Pizza from King of Pizza, Popeye's fried chicken. It didn't matter. He just wanted to eat those last things. We were happy to give it to him. Even in those, at that time, my mom was not very happy that we were Anyway, I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to be here with love and support for our family, to this dedication to the life of our father. My mom wanted me to tell you that Dad would have been Dad really would have appreciated. She said basically it's really sad that he couldn't be here to see how many people were here for him. You know? So anyway, at this time of loss, I did find myself really thinking, as many of you may as well, what is important about life and about the time we're together on this earth. As I stand here today, I realized that my dad I don't have to turn the favor. I realized that he's really, he helped shape my view as he led by example. It really comes down to the positive impact you make on the people and the world you leave behind. Dad was dedicated to helping the people around him feel better. He was a complex guy with an amazing sense of humor. Sorry, it's only supposed to take 2 minutes, but passion and giving. He had an unquenchable thirst for knowledge. He understood people. He could relate and converse with anyone. And in most cases, leave them smiling. He could charm the grumpiest of waitresses and doctors alike. He had an unwavering mission to help people feel better. Not just as part of his profession, he was an innate problem solver. Helping people overcome hardship and adversity was second nature for him. Growing up, it was not at all uncommon for people to come up to us in a diner, a shop, or even while traveling in some really faraway places and tell us how thankful they were for what Dad had done for them. His positive impact on the people he came in contact with, and in many cases the people whose lives were changed for the better, make up his legacy. Dad believed in making the world a better place and called bullshit by its name. My father was not a crusader. He truly believed in preserving history and the environment. He couldn't stand to see the human race muck up the world. In his early days, he marched in Washington against the Vietnam War. He went on to support several environmental organizations out of concern for the preservation of nature and the human race. He gave money to WHYY to support his love for classical music. The Franklin Institute, Nature Conservatory, Natural History Museum, and the list goes on of the places that he continuously gave money to and was generous to because of what he believed in. He gave his time to patients, family, kids, the synagogue, and whatever he felt was right. And I consider the targets of his efforts, I see that it was really about making the physical world a better place, not just for him, but for those who come after. He always supported our family and me. Dad, I cried at my wedding too, so my brothers will never let me forget that one. Family was everything. His love and concern could be overbearing at times, as he was passionate about keeping us safe and supporting our successes. He was also a physical guy, not, you know how big he was, but not very physical. He was very physical in the fact that he wasn't macho. You know, he would hug you, he would put his hand on you, he'd kiss you, which was, when we were younger, quite embarrassing, because we stupidly cared about how our friends looked at us. Turned out that those very friends, and a lot of them are here today, were actually enamored with Dad's warmth, his charisma, and ability to relate to all of us. Even when we were young, he could relate to all the things that were going on. I'll get to you, Aaron, in a second, sorry. For as long as I can remember, Dad always trusted that I would do well in the world. He and Mom were always there to listen and support. He helped me choose the wacky but positively influential college I went to. stayed with my not-so-wacky graduate school, and later accepted my choice to live thousands of miles away in Japan. On a rare occasion, he did warn me of my first choice in wife. When I could not see the pending mistake for myself, he did later celebrate my second wife, Mickey. With my first wife, he quietly asked me, "Are you sure?" With Mickey, he asked me, "Why the F is she with you?" It's a true story. That's Mickey right there, right? I'm so grateful that I was able to see my father on many occasions these past few years. He really survived for a number of years. The doctors told him, we had an argument with the doctor, Aaron actually, made the doctor cry. I hope she's not in the audience today. He made the doctor cry because she said he had to go into hospice, and this was several years ago. And we really stood our ground and said, I don't think so. I had to talk with Dad, got him a cheeseburger from McDonald's, and he started eating again. And he lasted a couple more years, so I'm very thankful for that. We had a lot of occasions over these past couple of years. We came back, Mickey and I came back a lot from Japan. We talked to him all the time, intimately, laughed and ate together. And finally, we were given that time. To say goodbye. A moment ago. He taught me that things are not just handed to you. He would help, but he would always make us work for it. He taught us that there's no problem that can't be overcome. The humor is essential to life. That history has a lot to offer the present. That an understanding of and preservation of the environment is key to the human race. That giving back is an essential part of receiving. That family is everything. He taught me to think positive. He taught us how to negotiate. All of us are pretty good negotiators. As you know, he was also. Some would say manipulative, some would say good negotiator. He was really good. We got that too. Mom, thanks for that too. Thank you. He taught us how to succeed, how to live, and how to laugh. While some people travel lightly on this earth, that was a big guy. A big heart and big footsteps. His legacy is without challenge, as I see his positive impact on people, places, and causes he cared about. I miss him greatly. Thank you again for sharing this moment with our family and friends. Thank you.
That's a tough one to follow. My brother. There's a lot of tears I shed the past few days when Dad had passed. He was still in the house for about 10 hours. So I went back and forth in the room multiple times. I sat and talked to him. I said how much I love him, which I did. He was a great guy. Although he did yell quite a bit at some of the kids. I mean, I don't want to sugarcoat that. But we probably deserve most of it. You know? A lot of the stuff Mike touched on, I actually had in here, but I'm not going to say the same thing. I'm going to condense it for you. And I did write something down, so again, I don't usually read it as well, but I'm going to read it out to you guys. Again, I want to thank everybody for coming in here today. I cannot believe how many people came from so far away and say such nice things about my father. I mean, like Mike said, when we were kids, you were embarrassed at the way he was so outgoing and made a scene with pretty much anywhere he went, you know. But and when you grow up, you learn that it made such an impact for people. And so thankful that you guys were able to come here, everybody. And Moss, his oldest friend, 71 years, came over here. It's incredible. So I want to say a couple words about my dad. And I did learn quite a bit from him. Taught me the difference between right and wrong, and always offered me support as challenges presented themselves. I learned that it was okay to pursue my passions and stray from the norm, because as we all know, he was not the norm. Like Mike said, he offered guidance and support where he thought it was needed, but he didn't pave the way for us. He made us work for things. And I think it was his goal to teach me the value of completing things and the pride in success. And he's the main reason that I have my own business now. Without the support from him, and every time I would talk to him, he was always so happy when something was going right for us. I mean, every time, even now, till the very last day, are you with Dana? You guys having dinner together tonight? I'm just so excited about it. He taught me how to lead and accept responsibility, but what more importantly, he also taught me to forgive, even if I thought I was right, which I probably am. But what's important to me and what will stay for me forever is our relationship in our adult life. As time went on, especially recently, he took another role with me. Not only was he my father, we were very close friends. We speak on the phone multiple times a week and got together frequently. Just talked about the daily bullcrap that happens in your life. And he was great just to bounce it off of. Sometimes just a 2 or 3 minute call to say hello, and that was enough. But what stays with me is that throughout our time together, all this time, he repeatedly told me how lucky he felt that he had this type of relationship with me and my brothers. And even as he neared the end, he would say how lucky he was. And I feel how lucky I was, and my brothers the same way. And so we share the same view about many different things, including our sense of humor, which, as you know, he had quite a sense of humor. So I'm going to share a little story with you guys about a recent situation. So just a few weeks ago, I was over at my parents' house. Dad seemed to have taken a downturn at that time. He was spending a lot of time in bed. I wasn't really sure where it was heading. It was very difficult to see if that was just a small setback or if it was indeed going towards the end. So I'm sitting next to him, beside me, he's in the bed, cover up, it's always cold, it's freezing cold like this. And I have some chocolate there. I said, Dad, you want a piece of chocolate? And he says, oh yeah, he loves chocolate. Anybody here who's ever had a meal with my dad can attest to this. For some reason, there's always some food left over on his face somewhere. he knows it's there. So while he's eating his chocolate, I look at him and I say, Dad, you've got chocolate all over your mouth. And so he looks at me and he goes, yeah, pass me the chocolatifier. And I go, what? And so you have to picture, he's this old man, frail, he's in bed, he's declining physically, and I'm not sure if mentally he's declining the same way. So I put my arm around him and I say, Dad, I'm not really sure what you mean. You know, what are you asking for? So he looks at me with a big smile and he points to his glass of water and he goes, give me the de-chocolatifier. And then I got it, you know, obviously. You know. That's the impression of the kind of relationship I have with my dad. We goof off, and my brothers were the same way. Anybody who works with me and my friends and everything, it's just, the humor was such a big part of everything that we do. And I'll always take that bond, that close bond with me forever, you know. I love my dad, and I really miss him. So, thank you for listening.
I'm the youngest of the 3 children, just with my brother Mike and Aaron. I want to thank every one of you for taking the time to honor my dad today. Many of you here know him by different names. Dr. Bob Rowe, psychologist who dedicated 60 years of his life to helping people get through life. Some of you know him as Mr. Bob Rowe, as the neighbor next door, or my friend's dad. My children knew him as Adi, that's the Hebrew name for grandfather. To me, he was just dad. He was a man who was there for me when I needed him. He sometimes had a hard way of just showing how much he cared for me, and I didn't always recognize it, but I always knew he had my back. It was just a visitor, a phone call away. Although I recognize many of you here today, people, relatives coming in from everywhere, people from the past. I know there's a few people that I'm meeting for the first time. Many of you have had your own personal experience with him that may reach beyond the relationship that I had with my dad, and that's why you're here. I know he must have been a positive influence on your lives too, as evidence of everyone here that showed up. I'm really surprised with the turnout. It's big. He also made sure to take trips with us. I'm sorry, forgive me for a moment. Growing up, my dad was a busy man. He worked a lot of hours. There was times that he wouldn't come home until 9 or 10 at night, and was very dedicated to what he was doing. And one thing he never did was he never lost sight of the weekends. The weekend was just time for spending time with family and making sure that everyone from the family at least had one meal together. That was important to him. Dinner or lunch or breakfast, he would take us out to the diner, and we'd all, that was his important time. He also made sure to take us away on family trips together. We did the Disney World trip all together, and his fossil trips. He liked to go to the Pine Barrens and take a walk. As everyone that knew my dad, a very intelligent person, we would take a walk. You have the entire botanical encyclopedia in his head, and he could name most of the plants right during the hike. He also made me feel like I knew next to nothing watching Jeopardy, playing along with my mother, and my dad constantly and my mom chiming in and getting all of the answers to Jeopardy before the contestant who's the winning contestant there. So, yeah. It was his thirst for knowledge along with his compassion for people, and that's what made him who he was, by reaching out and doing that. Lastly, I really want to thank my mom. What a great person. She stood by my dad for 60 years and was his support system. Without my mom, there wouldn't have been my dad. In the end, my mom showed us what it's all like to take the marital vow to honor and cherish till death do us part. And, no one ever promised you that there'd be tomorrow today. And take each day as you have it, and that's how my dad would want us to live our lives. And once again, thanks everyone for coming here.
I do have to say, observing Elaine, you have been remarkable. As Josh said, for all those years, those decades, of course you stood by as he stood by you. You each pursued your own career and triumphed in your own careers and raised a beautiful family with great values. But these last years were incredibly difficult, heart-wrenching, difficult emotionally, but difficult on Elaine very physically. Elaine, you became our hero. just by example. God bless you. So I'm going to say what sounds like the beginning of a joke. A rabbi and a psychologist walk into a bar, which we sometimes did. And on rare occasion, the rabbi, psychologist, and the president of the synagogue walked into a bar. He's here today, by the way. And accompanied by Elaine, my wife, Mary. We'd have a hoot of a time. There wasn't anything that we couldn't talk about, didn't talk about. He was great to be with, especially for a guy like me. Why? You may know, some of you may even know some clergy. Imagine that. You may know some rabbis, priests, ministers, imams. What you may have observed, and perhaps you do not know, is that those of us in the pulpit have a great many, a huge number of people who we call acquaintances and even friends. But those of us in the pulpit have very few deep and good friends. If we're lucky, maybe one or two or three in our whole careers. Phil was one of those for me. And he was a great friend, as I tried best I could to be a great friend to him. And he let me know that. That was also maybe the best part of it. He wasn't shy in letting me know how much he appreciated my friendship, and I wasn't shy in letting him know how much I appreciated his friendship. Maybe that's what made us such good friends. And then, of course, we could each outrun each other with the patter of Gilbert and Sullivan. From the Mikado to the HMS Pinafore, to Paintments, to the Pirates of Penzance. Boy, could we run with the horses. It was great. As you know, he was a wonderful musician. Brilliant. And had such a vast library in his head of classical music and opera and operettas. He could play the piano, the organ, and he even built himself a harpsichord. Do you know anybody else who builds a harpsichord? Remarkable. But then he could build anything. He could put together anything. He could take apart anything and put it back together. And he loved learning. And he loved teaching. He loved rabbis. Very few people love rabbis. He even taught for a while at the Reconstructionist Rabbinical School, where he learned to both love and hate rabbis. And maybe, just maybe, that was one of the reasons why I loved him. And why he loved me back. Now, you all know that he was an amateur paleontologist, right? And as we heard, he loved to go fossil hunting. I thought about that a lot. I never went with him, but I have been the recipient of some of the fossils he found. And I actually found a few fossils myself in Sherman Oaks in an antique store. And I bought them for him. But I thought about that fossil hunting. And I thought to myself, there's just the right metaphor for Phil. But don't get me wrong. He wasn't a fossil. No way. He was inspired by the fossils. And why? Because what's a fossil if not a lasting impression? A fossil is nothing more than a lasting impression of a living thing, a leaf, an organism, a creature. Pick up any fossil. The only way you can destroy it is to smash it. It's lasting forever. That was your Phil, your dad, your husband, your grandfather, your colleague and friend, my dear friend, our dear friend and colleague. His life's work was to make the kind of lasting impression in another human being so deeply that it might even change how they look at their own lives, how they look at the lives around them, and what they can do and what they can accomplish because of the empowerment he gave them. Now that's a lasting impression. So the next time you pick up a fossil, and you will, take a good look at it. It was your dad. Because that lasting impression is there upon you, Josh. It's upon you, Aaron. It's upon you, Michael. It's upon your children, your wives, your lives. Because it's upon each and every one of us. The lasting impression that was our beloved Dr. Phil. Want to make the world a better place? You can. Want to bring him back to life? You can. Make a lasting impression on another human being. And Phil lives. Make an impression so deep, so powerful, that you've changed a life. And if you've already done so, continue to do so. And do it with a song, a melody in your heart, with laughter in your soul, and with food on your mustache. He is worth keeping alive because his life made a lasting impression upon this world. For someone who perhaps had little use for organized religion, I can't think of anyone else who was such a deep partner with the divine in making the world a better place. Phil, we all loved you. We all respected you. We all learned from you. May your soul rest in peace, your memory assured, and your spirit impressed upon each one of us for the rest of our lives and beyond. Amen. We rise for the El Mole Rahamim as offered by Cantor Marley.
Malera
God full of compassion, thou who dwellest on high, grant perfect rest unto Philip, Pinchas, Pinchas Hillel, ben Iser, Shahalach Lo'olamo, Baal Harachamim Yitzrur Bitzrur Achayim, Lord of mercy, bring him into thy presence, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. Be thou his possession, and may his repose be peace. Peace eternal. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher yatzar etchem b'tzalmo, v'zanchil kel etchem b'tuvo, v'hemit etchem badin, v'nata b'tochachem chayei olam. Baruch atah Adonai Dayan ha'emet. Blessed are you, O Lord, Judge of truth. Amen. We recite the Kaddish together. Yiskadal v'yiskadash shemei rabo, v'yalma divarach yirusei v'yamlich malchusei, v'chaye chon v'yomei chon, v'chaye techol beis Yisrael, v'agala v'bizman koriv, v'imaru. Amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevorach, le'olam olamei olmaya, yisbarach v'yishtabach, v'yisba'ar v'yisromam v'yisnasei, v'yisadar, v'yisaleh, v'yisalal, shemei d'kudisha b'richu, li'ela min kol birchasa v'shirasa, tushbachasa v'nechemasa, da'miran bi'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi Shlomo Rabo Min Shomaya V'Chaim, Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael, V'Imaru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Ramah, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael, V'Imaru Amen. Go thy way, for the Lord hath called thee. Go thy way, may the Lord be with thee. May thy righteousness go before thee, and the glory of the Lord receive thee. Amen. Immediately following services here, Elaine and her family will be receiving family and friends at their home, and there will be a minion service, and then, of course, receiving today, this afternoon and evening, through the evening hours. And our service here is concluded. Please be seated.
May I have the pallbearers, please?
Sorry, he's okay now.
I'll ask everyone to please rise.
Thank everyone for their accompaniment. You may return to your families.
I'll ask everyone to remain seated for just a moment, please.
Why don't you grab it, Brian? He's got to look. Brian, why don't you take Dad? Take Dad, please. Over there. Brian, I'm not moving.
They got through? Okay, so why don't we just sit here and let them sit?
Sir, are you okay? Is there anything I can do to help?
Paramedics.
Okay, would you like some water or anything? Okay. You know anything? We're just a holler away, right?
Don't tell me that was one side. He said that he saw me talking to him. He went responsible.